Welcome to Tech Talk Central, and welcome to this deep dive.
Hi, everyone. Today we're tackling that classic tech question. Is the shiny new model always the best buy? Or, is last year's champion still the smarter pick?
Yeah, exactly. We're specifically looking at the LG OLED Evo C4 from 2024 versus its successor, the LG OLED Evo AI C5 from 2025. We got the specs in front of us, and our mission is pretty clear. Figure out if those C5 upgrades, especially all the AI stuff, really justify making the jump.
Right. We're comparing two fantastic 65-inch OLEDs. Both have that incredible foundation 4K, those perfect self-lit pixels, Dolby Vision, Atmos support. The works. The C4 was all about pure performance, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
But the C5, well, it's leaning heavily on this intelligence angle, so let's dig in and see where your money might be better spent.
Okay, let's start with the core, the processor, because that seems like the biggest shift.
Yeah.
The C4 has the A9 AI processor Gen 7. The C5 steps it up to the Alpha 9 AI processor Gen 8.
And this is really where the story changes, isn't it? It's moving beyond just optimizing the picture to, well, personalizing it. Now, both chips do the basics incredibly well. That AI super upscaling 4K.
Crucial.
Yeah, absolutely crucial for making older HD stuff or, compressed streaming look sharp on that big 4K panel.
Right. But I have to ask, the Gen 7 was already fantastic. I mean, the picture quality was stellar. Is this Gen 8 smarter thing just marketing spin, or is there a real architectural change driving these new features?
That's a fair question. What's interesting is that the Gen 8 seems to have significantly more neural processing power. It's not just looking at the content anymore and, like blurring backgrounds or sharpening objects. It's designed to analyze your behavior and even the room environment. That's really the justification for slapping that extra AI badge on the C5 model name.
Okay, so that brings us to those personalized features you mentioned. This is where it gets quite interesting, I think. The C5 has two big new things: the personalized picture and sound wizard, and the AI concierge. Let's start with the wizard. How's this different from just, like, running a standard calibration?
Well, the personalized picture and sound wizard really leverages that Gen 8 power. It's not just about hitting reference standards. It actually asks you to look at different images, listen to sound clips, and you pick your favorites.
Okay.
And based on your preferences, your subjective taste then tailors the picture and sound. So it's less like a one-size-fits-all setting and more like getting a custom tune-up for your own eyes and ears. It learns what kind of saturation you prefer, what kind of soundstage you like.
Huh. So if I watch tons of really vibrant sci-fi, it might lean into that saturation, but if my partner watches mostly nature documentaries, it could potentially adjust for them or find a middle ground based on profile.
Exactly. Or optimize based on who's watching, potentially. And then you've got the AI concierge. This one seems aimed at cutting through the clutter.
How so?
It learns your habits, like what apps you use most when you watch certain things, maybe even where you tend to pause or switch inputs. And then it proactively suggests stuff, maybe content, maybe a setting tweak that's relevant right then and there.
So instead of just getting Netflix's generic recommendations, he might say, hey, you often switch to YouTube after watching this type of show. Here's a related channel.
Something like that, yeah. It's trying to connect the dots between your actual usage patterns across different apps and sources. It's designed to be more context aware.
That honestly sounds like a pretty significant quality of life improvement. Trying to make the TV feel less like a passive screen and more like a helpful assistant, cutting down on endless scrolling.
That seems to be the goal. It positions the C5 more around usability and this intelligent interaction, whereas the C4 was maybe more purely focused on delivering the best possible image quality straight up. The C5 uses that processor to try and make the whole experience smoother, more tailored.
Okay, let's shift to the viewing environment itself. Now, both these TVs share that amazing OLED foundation, right? 8.3 million self-lit pixels, 100% color volume, 100% color fidelity. The raw picture potential is top-notch on both.
Absolutely. The core panel technology is fantastic.
But what about real-world viewing? Especially for those of us, maybe you listening, who have brighter living rooms. That's often been a slight drawback for OLEDs compared to some high-end LCDs.
Right, and that's a key battleground, peak brightness and reflections in bright rooms. Now, both models have brightness-boosting tech, but the C5 specifically attacks this issue head-on. It's actually marketed as being bright room ready.
And you mentioned there's more to that than just a catchy phrase. There's a certification involved.
Yes, exactly. The C5 has been verified by UL, that's Underwriters Laboratories for Discomfort Glare-Free. Specifically, it meets a UGR, or Unified Glare Rating, of less than 22.
Okay, UGR. What does that mean in practical terms for someone watching TV?
So UGR is an international standard that measures how much discomfort glare causes. Getting a rating under 22 is a recognized benchmark that confirms a tangible reduction in, well, annoying reflections and perceived glare compared to displays that don't meet that standard. It means LG has specifically engineered the C5 screen, likely its coding and brightness algorithms, to perform better when there's ambient light.
Wow, okay. That's actually a really important detail. Having a verifiable metric like that makes the bright room ready claim much more concrete. It's not just theoretical brightness, it's a measured improvement in dealing with glare for daytime viewing.
It definitely adds weight to the C5's case for certain environments, but there's often a trade-off, isn't there? That extra processing, potentially higher brightness to combat glare, it usually costs something.
Ah, you mean power consumption.
Exactly. There's a slight energy cost. According to the specs you provided, the 65-inch C5 uses about 163.9 watts when it's on, leading to an estimated annual usage of around 302 kilowatt hours.
And the C4.
The C4 is a bit leaner. It comes in at 145.3 watts on mode for about 269 kilowatt hours annually. It's not a huge difference day to day, but it's a measurable increase in energy demand for the C5's smarter features and bright room capabilities.
Okay, so a small energy price for potentially significant gains in intelligence and usability,
Yeah.
especially in bright rooms. But what if your main priority isn't smart features or daytime viewing? What if it's all about pure, unadulterated gaming speed?
Ah, well, if you are primarily a gamer, this whole comparison suddenly gets much simpler. Almost boringly simple in a good way.
How so?
Because in terms of the critical gaming specs, the C4 and C5 are basically identical.
Identical. That's huge, especially if you're thinking about grabbing a C4 potentially on sale. So, same response time.
Yep. Both boast that incredible zero point 0.1 millisecond response time, essential for feeling connected in fast-paced games.
And inputs, HDMI 2.1.
4 full HDMI 2.1 ports on both models, so you're covered for next-gen consoles, high-end PCs, the works, no compromises there.
What about refresh rate and the syncing technology?
Yes. Same story. Both support up to a super smooth 144 hertz refresh rate. And they both have VRR, they're both NVIDIA G-Sync compatible, and both support AMD FreeSync Premium. All the key variable refresh rate tech is present and accounted for on both TVs.
And the software side for gaming. The game optimizer menu and the dashboard.
Present on both, according to the source info. You get the same level of control for tweaking latency settings, black levels, toggling G-Sync, all of that, regardless of whether you pick the C4 or the C5. So the takeaway for gamers is pretty stark. If your absolute priority is low latency, high frame rates, and responsive controls, the C4 delivers essentially the same core gaming experience as the C5.
You're not paying extra on the C5 for better gaming performance. The premium is tied to those other AI and usability features we talked about.
Precisely.
Okay, let's talk smart platform and longevity. The C4 came out with WebOS 24. The C5 ships with WebOS 25. Now, normally being a year behind on the operating system could be a real concern for future-proofing, couldn't it?
It usually is, yeah. You worry about getting left behind on features and app updates. But LG has done something really interesting here with their WebOS Renew program. And crucially, both the C4 and C5 are part of this program.
Okay, tell us about Renew. How does that change the equation?
So this program basically guarantees major WebOS version upgrades and feature refreshes for 5 years from the model's launch. That means your C4, even though it started on WebOS 24, is promised upgrades that will bring it new features and potentially even the newer interface versions for the next several years.
Ah, so it effectively levels the playing field for software support over the expected lifespan of the TV.
Largely, yes. It significantly minimizes the immediate impact of that 1-year difference in the initial WebOS version. Both TVs are set to have well-supported smart platforms for a good long while.
That's a really strong point in the C4's favor, especially from a value perspective. Now, what about other connectivity bits and maybe audio integration? Are the differences there?
There are a couple of subtle ones. The C5 seems to embrace the broader smart home ecosystem a bit more readily out of the box. While the C4 had Alexa built in, the C5 specs list multiple voice assistants, including Google Assistant, and also support for Apple AirPlay 2, and importantly, Matter.
Ah, Matter, the new universal standard.
Right. Having Matter support baked in means the C5 should integrate much more smoothly into whatever smart home setup you might be building, regardless of whether it's Google, Apple, Amazon, or something else. It's more future-proof in that regard.
Okay, and audio. Anything specific there? You mentioned pairing with soundbars earlier.
Yes. The C5 has a feature called Wow Orchestra. This is specifically for when you pair the C5 TV with a compatible LG soundbar.
What does it do?
Instead of the TV speakers just shutting off when you connect the soundbar, Wow Orchestra allows the TV's own speakers and the soundbar to work together. They synchronize to create a bigger, potentially more immersive soundstage, using the TV speakers to maybe add height or fill.
Interesting. So it leverages the TV's hardware alongside the soundbar for potentially better sound.
Exactly. It's a synergy feature designed for the LG ecosystem. The C4 specs we looked at didn't mention Wow Orchestra, so that seems to be a specific C5 audio advantage if you plan on using an LG soundbar.
Okay, let's try and synthesize all of this. We've covered the processor, the AI features, the display differences, gaming, smart platform. What does it all mean for you, the listener, trying to decide which of these LG OLEDs is actually the smarter choice? Let's frame the main tension. Intelligence versus value.
I think that's the right way to look at it. The C4 really stands out as the high-performance, high-value option, especially for gamers. You get almost identical gaming speed, it uses slightly less power, and that 5-year WebOS Renew program means its smart features won't feel outdated quickly. If you find a C4 at a good discount, it's delivering maybe 95% of the raw performance.
Right. But the C5 earns its AI moniker, doesn't it? The smarter choice seems genuinely tied to that Gen 8 processor and what it enables. Those personalized AI features, the picture sound wizard, the AI concierge, these aren't just minor tweaks. They feel like actual steps towards a more user-centric experience.
I agree. They represent a different philosophy. And you add to that the specific, verifiable, discomfort glare-free certification, which is huge for bright room viewing, plus the Wow Orchestra audio synergy. Those are the concrete upgrades you're paying the premium for.
So the Z5's gains are less about raw speed or core picture quality, because the C4 is already excellent there, and more about intelligence, personalization, and adapting better to specific user needs and environments.
That sums it up well. If you want a TV that actively learns from you, makes recommendations based on your actual habits, performs demonstrably better with glare, and integrates tightly with an LG soundbar, then the C5 offers those tangible benefits that justify its position as the newer, smarter model.
But if you're primarily gaming, or you watch in a controlled lighting environment, and you find the C4 significantly cheaper, its core performance is almost unbeatable value.
Exactly. It depends on what you prioritize.
So our final thought for you to explore today is this. We talked about how the 5-year WebOS Renew program really helps level the software playing field long-term. Given that guarantee, how much weight should you, as a buyer, really put on that initial 1-year difference between WebOS 24 and WebOS 25 when you're making your final decision? Something to ponder.
Definitely worth considering how much the absolute latest OS matters versus long-term support.
To find the latest prices and deals on both the LG C4 and the C5, please do check out the links we put in the description below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive trying to figure out which LG OLED is the smarter choice for you, please hit that subscribe button for more detailed tech comparisons from Tech Talk Central. Thanks so much for joining us.